and welcome to this episode of Women's World. Tonight we feature the story of Monica Biloli Nagy, a woman recovering from a cowardly attack perpetrated against her by her partner in Port Moresby. We speak to Monica and her family about the tragic circumstances that have affected her both physically and mentally, talk to investigators working on Monica's case, and various stakeholders working to combat gender-based violence in the country.
Everywhere you go in Papua New Guinea, you will hear stories of women being beaten up, slashed or stabbed with a knife, hacked with an axe, raped, tortured, even burnt in public. You may have even witnessed such acts of violence in your homes or communities. Some of you watching this may even be victims of abuse and know all too well the traumatic outcomes of being viciously assaulted by someone who you trust, someone close to your heart. Monica's tragic circumstances can hardly be deemed as being unique in a nation where the rates of gender-based violence are said to be some of the highest in the world. But it is one that is exemplary, as the survivor of a ruthless attack suffered at the hands of her boyfriend speaks out about her tragic ordeal as she and her family fight for justice to have her assailant prosecuted for his crime. Monica Biloli Nagy's story first came to light after Monica's twin sister Maria and husband Sean Wong posted pictures of Monica on the popular social media site Facebook. These pictures were taken when she was brought into the emergency room of the Port Moresby General Hospital. It was these very images that caught the attention of family and friends, sparking an online clarion call to expose the perpetrator and for law enforcers to act swiftly in charging Monica's abusive partner.
I just wanted everybody to know what this man did to my sister. I'd never experienced anybody doing anything like this, and for the type of thing that she's just going through now, it's very heartbreaking for me to see my sister like this. That's why I just wanted everybody to know that put this guy away or something.
The couple had been in a relationship for over 3 months. They were like any other ordinary Papua New Guinean couple, embarking on a new path after moving on from past relationships.
She's mixed parentage. Her father's from Germany, her mother's from Buka, Hagogahe. There's 4 girls and a boy.
March 19th is a date that Monica will never forget, when a night out with friends and family would turn out disastrous for the 32-year-old, changing her whole life forever.
Yeah, it was Friday. We were at the house. It was St. Heineken night that we went to attend. So she gave us tickets to go there. We were actually picked up at the house by Monica's girlfriend, Sonia. So we went around to Cosmo at about 8:45, 9:30 within the time.
So while they were traveling to Cosmo, she texted the boyfriend, informing him that they were going to Cosmo. So the boyfriend replied and said he was still at work, and as soon as he finished work, he'll catch up with them at the Cosmo. So that was around 8:30, between 8 and 9 they arrived at Cosmo. So she was with the 2 girlfriends on a table, and then around 10, the boyfriend arrived. So when the boyfriend arrived, she went and greeted him, say hello to him. At the time, the boyfriend was at the bar. So the boyfriend gave her some money. So he told her to buy some drinks for us with the friends. So the boyfriend also got some drinks, and he went and sat with his friends also on another table. So they were drinking, and I think at about 11:30 going up to 12, they all moved to the dancing floor. And at the time, the boyfriend also came and was standing with them, watching people dancing. Somehow the boyfriend disappeared from there. So she also went into the toilet, and then when she came out, the boyfriend was not there. So the next minute, the boyfriend approached her and told her that the ex-boyfriend had a fight with him. So she told the boyfriend that, well, I've got nothing to do with whatever that is transpired between you two. Because I came with you. I'm not here with the ex-boyfriend. But the boyfriend insisted, so he started arguing with her inside the club. And by then everyone started leaving the club now. So she went into the toilet, thinking that this boyfriend will leave her and go. But when she came out of the toilet, inside the club was empty. There was no one in there. But the boyfriend was still inside the club, looking for her, asking the ladies working in the bar, asking for her. So the ladies there got there and they hid her underneath the couch. For some, I think 10 to 15 minutes. Then she heard that this fellow was raising his voice, so she thought about the safety of the ladies working in there, in case he might get on the girl. So she stood up and told the boyfriend that I'm here. So that's where he ordered her to come out with her to the car park. So when they came out, there was a taxi there. When we questioned her about the taxi, she says she could not recall the taxi number and description, but it was a yellow taxi. So anyway, he forced her into the taxi. He himself got on to the taxi, so he was sitting in front with the driver, the boyfriend, and she was sitting at the back of the taxi.
Monica was then taken from the Cosmopolitan Club at Vision City in a cab with Samson Ikasa and brought here to the suburb of 5 Mile in Port Moresby, where the brutal attacks continued late into the night.
At this stage, she was already scared of him. He went into his angry mode and started belting the shit out of her, which is very cowardly.
He was telling her that you can remember your ex-boyfriend's number and your family's number, but you cannot recall my number.
Welcome back. You're watching Women's World. Any violent act perpetrated against a woman, a man, or a child is a criminal act punishable by law. Now, in most cases, survivors of family and sexual violence report having been abused in their homes or in their communities by their partners, family members, or other people they know in the community they live in. 70% of women in PNG have been victims of some form of violence by an intimate partner within their lifetime. And in some areas of the country, the levels of violence reach up to 100%, meaning that all women in certain parts of PNG have experienced some form of violence at the hands of someone they know.
According to a recent report by Medicine Sans Frontiers, or Doctors Without Borders, the overall rates of violence in Papua New Guinea are said to be some of the highest in the world outside a conflict zone. Family violence has become so deeply rooted into our societies that it has reached an emergency state where escalated response mechanisms are needed to adequately address this problem. Though domestic violence is a criminal offence, it continues to be viewed as a private matter, and the medical and psychological needs of survivors are rarely recognised, causing suffering and putting more lives at risk.
You see it from a man's point of view. Now, if your wife is feeling pain because you assaulted her, why can't you put yourself in her shoes? How would you feel? What type of help do you need from your friends? It needs a mindset change. It needs sensitization, education.
Heading police investigations into the case of Monica Nagi is Detective Joe Puana, officer in charge of the Criminal Investigation Division's General Crime Unit. In his experiences of dealing with cases as such, he often finds that it isn't easy for survivors of severe acts of violence to come out in public and openly talk about the abuse they have suffered. Too often, victims are shunned upon by their own families and communities and are often reluctant to talk about their experiences because of their embarrassment or fear of putting themselves or their families in further danger. In many instances, victims feel trapped in abusive relationships, having no one or nowhere to turn to seek assistance.
It's something that happens between an husband and a wife, and then, in between an husband and wife, there are also relatives. Like the husband has got the relatives, the wife has got the relatives. So sometimes, relatives also come in and they want to be part and parcel of the decision making. So, for example, like say, if a woman is a victim of the crime, and if she wants to come and report it to police, the relatives will come in and try to suppress her and take the matter out of court, and they'll try and settle it within the family level and all these things. So most cases we face this type of problem. But for the victim himself or herself, she's feeling the pain. So if she wants to take action, she's willing to take it. But when family members comes in, that's where they start interfering with the process, and all of a sudden, some of these cases just go out like that. So that's basically, most cases we experience it.
They just get dropped.
Exactly. It's because of influence from families and all this. And if family supports you to pursue the matter through, then you will, pursue the matter through, and we see good results. But most cases we experience is when the victim wants to pursue the matter, she's been suppressed by their family, either from her own side or from the husband's side, or whichever way, vice versa. So that's a problem we have.
For Monica, her family's response to her predicament is exemplary and shows how valuable the support of families are in enabling victims to feel encouraged and stronger to make decisions to receive appropriate protection and care.
For Monica's case, we are happy to get on with the job, because the family and the victim herself, they're very cooperative with us. They're giving us what we want, and they're making our job easy. So, in that regard, we are seeing that we have a good case. So, because the family wanted the case to go this way, we have to give them that full support, and at the end of the day, we have to find a good result out of the case. So.
I'm married to Monica's twin sister, Maria. We both have a shop in Buka, and we currently reside there. Maria and I were in Buka. We were working away, and Maria was coming down with different pains, body pains, sharp aches in the back, really bad migraines, and which was really not Maria. And basically, that night we went to a dart competition which we have going in Buka, and we had our phones off, and it wasn't until the next morning we all woke up and saw the messages on the phone, and putting it all two and two together, being the twins they are, Maria was feeling pains from what Monica was going through. Some reports from Monica, she was in and out of consciousness. One stage she was in the car, she could remember. Next stage she was getting dragged along the coal tar, the bitumen.
And then she was calling out for help, thinking that anybody along the road might come and help her.
People came out to help, and he was just telling them all to piss off and all that sort of stuff. Dragged her into the house, and then actually belted her more inside the house, in the room.
And I passed out. I woke up and I was in bed.
The next minute she gained her conscience. She realized that she was naked on the bed. By the time, she was already badly injured, so she cannot shout or...
He took me to the bathroom, and he put the shower on, and I felt my skin burning. And so I knew that something was definitely wrong with me. So I went on, got out of the bathroom, and I saw my face, and that's when I found out that something was really wrong. I couldn't recognize myself, my face. He took me back to the room and laid me down, and I heard a car driving in. The house people just arrived.
And it wasn't until the next morning everyone else turned up home who lives there, and a friend of mine's wife saw Samson coming out to get some hot water, and she asked, what's hot water for? It's not cold water, hot water. And he said, oh, we had a bit of an argument or something like that, and I'm just cleaning up Monica. And she went, what? Like, confused and worried about Monica. She walked into the room and saw Monica petrified just in the towel, shivering in the corner of the room, lost and didn't know what to do.
She rushed towards me and asked if I was okay, and she was crying, telling me that I needed to go to the hospital straight away. She ran outside and called the husband and Alex to come out, so they all came up and they got me out. She dressed me up and they dragged me down into the car and brought me to the emergency. Yeah.
Disgusted on how coward this person, Samson, is. The family are very, very cut up over that. To me, he's not a man, and I can say that for a fact. Like, if he's a real man, he'll come up to me now and try and do the same to me. He's been putting messages through Tilda and I think a couple of the other family members. But yeah, it's not.
Yeah, after he got arrested on Sunday night, he called me on Monday morning, which I didn't have his number, even didn't save it, because he called me, the first time he called me was on Saturday night, letting me know about Monica's in the hospital. So Monday morning he called me, and I was a couple of times missed call, and I just thought of answering it. So I answered, and he was like, Tilda, it's me, Sam. How's Monica? And I told him that Monica is taken care of. All you have to think about is yourself. And I put the phone off. That's it. And he sends me a message like, I'm just worried about Monica. That's it. Okay, the next day he called again, but I remembered the number and I never answered it. And he sends another message like, tell Monica I love her so much. Those were the two messages that he sent to me. After that, no more calls from him.
It's been a month now since her attack, and Monica is still in hospital. She has since undergone surgery after talking on camera with us and celebrated her 32nd birthday last week from a hospital bed.
Well, there's so many things happening out there, and most women, they get scared to get police and that. I've known some of my friends who get scared to get the police to arrest their husbands or boyfriends, and this is happening to me. I was actually scared to get him arrested, and that I don't know what I was thinking, but I was actually scared. My family, they were more supportive over me, and they helped me to stand up and get police for him, to arrest him.
It is clear that simply reporting any abusive act to police does not guarantee an effective solution to the problem.
You know, to approach this type of problem, it's not only police business. Every stakeholders must take ownership of it. And you know, if we all work together, I think we can try and manage and control this. But if we want to leave it to police alone, I don't think we will find a solution to the problem.
Addressing gender-based violence requires teamwork approach, a teamwork mindset. If we don't have that, then our efforts will lag behind other countries.
The PNG government has taken important policy steps in the right direction, but it's implementing and resourcing these efforts that is still a huge problem. Investigations are still ongoing, and though the matter is already in court, Monica's assailant has yet to give in his statement since being let out on police bail.
Bail is a right to every citizen who is charged with a criminal offence. it is a qualified right unless the circumstances of the case does not allow us to grant bail. In cases where you have willful murder or mutiny, bail is not granted by the police as bail authority. We don't grant bail. But for cases apart from that, we do grant police bail, or the courts can grant bail. But in this case, I think he was here in the cells at the time when I visited the cells. That was during the time the cell was also condemned because of the conditions. So he was granted a police bail on that on a weekend, I believe, and he went home. And it's for him to appear before the courts.
Already completed all our witness statements. All witness statements has been completed. And like you mentioned about the crime scene indication, that's part of our investigation. Basically what we did on Saturday was just following up on the victim's story. That has been completed. So we are now just preparing the interview. The interview is already ready. So we are now looking for the accused person to come in for the purpose of interview.
We need cooperation from the male perpetrators because the crime is committed against another partner. It is not a case where you deal with common criminals, no. So we try to deal with this case on a mutually, with a mutual respect to both parties. That if we issue letters or a letter to the husband or the boyfriend to come for an interview, he should come. You've committed an offense against your partner, you have to come before the court and face it. You don't need to escape from justice. Come before the court and sort out your problem. So females, like males, we all have rights, and all the rights should be protected. You have to come and face the judges or come before the court and have the matter resolved amicably between both parties.
Monica's road to recovery is far from over, and she, like many others, will need more than just medical care to overcome the trauma they have experienced.
I'm gonna put a plate on my jaw to connect my jaws again. Yeah, 'cause it's broken from here and here. And it's wired up and connect some jaws here with the plate inside. Yeah, that's what they said.
She's healing so fast.
She's a strong girl. She's from a strong family as well. She's a healthy girl.
But she has found greater strength from her ordeal and is focused on healing.
I'm trying to be strong every day. Yeah. Just face that life things like this happened to me. I'm trying to be strong. People are being helpful. Yeah. Because I always think that some people don't try and help, but there are people who try and help. Yeah. And it's amazing how people come out, and people that I don't know, they come and visit me and give me a bit of time to pray with me. Yeah. People that I don't even know.
Whoever would like to help in regards to preferred cash to help pay for medical bills, as the operations that are leading up are not cheap at all, and that's the biggest burden on the family at the moment.
Through her story, Monica wants other women to be encouraged to seek the help they need to protect themselves from violent relationships.
All the women that go through the same thing, I say not to get scared, you know. To get help is not to get scared, just get help any way you can, yeah.
It is stories like these of bravery and unconditional love of a family that gives us hope of ending the vicious cycle of violence that continues to affect our families and communities. And yes, though we still have a long way to go in addressing the critical gaps that place constraints on adequately dealing with gender-based violence, we as citizens of this nation must now take responsibility of this escalating problem.